Like this new laptop that I got this week. It's saying to me, don't put a password in, we want a PIN number.
Right.
I thought, what?
Yep, that's Windows.
How strange.
We want your social security card number.
Yes.
Your bank account number.
Yeah, we'll have your... Can we have your cash point account number, please? Oh, and give us the card while we're at it. We'll just clear your bank account for you.
Oh, my gosh.
Right.
No kidding.
Before your computer started up, I was going to say that's probably your computer's way of saying my dog ate the homework. So I don't want to turn on today.
No, I ended up switching it off completely and then switching it back on, and it suddenly went, update complete. Oh, yeah. And I thought, you what? I've been waiting half an hour and suddenly you press the button off and then back on, it goes, completed. Oh, thank you.
That always works. The good old turn off and turn back on. Did you guys have a New Year's resolution? Anybody?
I don't normally make resolutions, personally. I don't no, because when I quit smoking years ago, I made a conscious effort of not doing it as a New Year's resolution. I did it about a week or so later because otherwise it's almost like being worried that you might fail because of it being a resolution, right. Whereas if it isn't New Year, you might succeed, which is probably a bit silly, really. But yeah.
Mine is still at 1440 by 900.
What about yourself, Dave? Any resolutions?
Oh, no. No, my resolution started in October with this podcast.
Ditto. Same here in September. Yeah. What about yourself, Gill? Do you make resolutions?
Resolutions this year? I'm just gonna. No, I didn't make any. No.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful.
Oh, dude, I love Gill. He's so cool.
Just live it. I mean, let it flow. You know what I mean? Like we're off to. I mean, considering the stuff that happened a couple of weeks ago at the nation's capital.
Oh my gosh!
It started off kind of shaky. So I'm like I've said on my podcast that I'm not surprised on what are things to come. But I mean, nobody has control over it. So
there you go.
There's no worth in wasting time worrying about it. I mean, that's just my take on it, but you just gotta, if it's gonna happen, let it happen and go with the flow. We can only change and do things that are in our own mind, and that's the way I look at it. But as far as resolutions go, just keep podcasting, and I love doing this, honestly. Especially with you guys. Thanks, Marv, for having me.
Ditto.
That's fine. I'm glad that we've been able to get back together again and have a chat. I love talking to you guys.
Yeah, thanks for forming the band and letting us in.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Yeah, all the best bands are trios.
Right? No kidding. That's a topic just for a podcast right there.
Yeah.
Trio bands.
I mean, just go on.
No, go ahead, Marv.
I was going to say, even trio bands, you can think of, they're not a trio, The Who, but sometimes you'll have songs where The Who are just a trio and Roger Daltrey's not on there, and they're like a powerful force all on their own, just the three of them without Daltrey there singing. When they've got Townsend or bass player John Entwistle, even if he sings, or him or Peter singing, they are an incredibly powerful threesome together.
I mean, if you really think about it, all bands are trio. I mean, is the drummer really part of the band? I mean, don't get me wrong.
You've got a couple there.
Yeah.
Well, except for
Rush,
Led Zeppelin,
Rush.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And anybody with John Bonham.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah. The Doors. Did they ever?
Oh yeah.
They're kind of a trio. I mean, they had it was Jim Morrison, Robbie Krieger, and then their heavy-handed organ piano guy who sometimes played bass. I don't know if they really had a real drummer.
Well, their drummer was John Desmore.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
All right, we can scratch that part.
You had John Densmore on drums, then you had Robbie Krieger on guitar, and then Manzarek, is that his name?
Yes, Ray Manzarek.
Ray Manzarek. Yes. He played all keyboards and bass, didn't he?
Yeah,
and then,
he did.
And then after Jim died, I think they made 2 or 3 albums afterwards with Ray and Robbie sharing vocals, I think.
Yeah, they did. I think it was like the album was called like The Voices or Their Voices. Yeah, they made a couple after he passed away.
I need to get hold of them and have a listen because as musicians, they're wow, fantastic.
Oh, Manzarek is just the first time I heard the Doors that it was Light My Fire, and I just fell in love with those guys.
Yeah,
just that whole opening, what he does with the organ in the beginning of the song. I just, what is this? Yeah, I felt like I was in a musical.
Yeah,
like a psychedelic, like Cinderella musical when that opening came on as a kid, and I just fell in love with them. I have their posters plastered all over my house.
Now, for me, it was the overall sound of their production at the end of the day, which really was like wow to me because it felt like it stood the test of time because everything was 4-track and that was it.
Uh-huh.
You know, in a great comparison with people that Marv talks with a lot, the Beatles, by contrast, they were all 8-track, 16-track, but it was all the same width of tape as what the Doors had. So a lot of times the tracks ended up sounding thin because they had to share that same amount of real estate. Only every track had to be that much smaller, so less bandwidth. So the Doors just had this full sound.
They were bouncing. They were bouncing the tracks, so that you ended up with so many tracks on one track being bounced over that the tape got really thin, and you'd lose definition of the sound.
Exactly. That just didn't have to happen with the Doors because Jim went in and did whatever he did live. I don't know if he ever really had more than 2 takes on anything that was recorded with him.
No, and a lot of the time he actually, when it was lyrics of his own, he actually made them up on the spot a lot, didn't he? He had like a general idea, but then just went in and thought, I've got this general idea, let's go with it.
Oh, he was a poet.
Yes.
Definitely. That man was just a poet. I mean, the film that came out with Val Kilmer, I watched it and I was like, no, this even... I watched like a YouTube video after just to get like what critics would say, and a lot of the criticism came from the band members stating that movie was, I mean, they didn't really bring out the Jim Morrison that they knew, which was the artist, the poet, not just the crazy rock and roll guy from Venice Beach, California.
I do know that they also took offence from a few other things as well, because when you look into it, it's surprising, because if you only look at the albums and that's all you've got, you don't know the actual behind the scenes, that not all the songs were written by all of them. In fact, very little of the material that's credited as written by the Doors wasn't actually written by all of them, and you'll find that they wrote songs individually, and Jim actually wrote very little in comparison to what the others were writing. He'd come in and they've already written complete songs just for him to put his vocals on, and he just used to come in with a few little ideas. So like My Fire, that was a Manzarek song. Love Her Madly, that was a Robbie Krieger song. And I think Riders on the Storm, was that Robbie Krieger as well?
Yes.
Dave?
I believe so. Yeah. No, it's just one of those things. It was just he He was the outgoing, enigmatic front man. He was the big mystery that just drew everybody in. They're like, what is this guy all about? And the rest of the band was able to, for lack of a better word, be shoegazers. And no one really cared. They're like, oh, wow, we're here for Jim. And the rest of the band was able to do what they did without pressure.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation for them because it's like a lot of bands where somebody else is writing the songs, but I can see how it would get frustrating as somebody who writes songs myself, and I'm sure that Dave's the same, where if somebody else is the lead singer, it can niggle a bit when somebody goes up to the singer and they're sort of complimenting them and going, do you know, that's a really good song you wrote there? And you're sort of thinking, I wrote that song. It's a bit like the Paul Simon and the Art Garfunkel argument in the 70s.
Yeah.
No, I would say if I was a drummer and I wrote that song, I'd be like, no, it was me. It was written by me. Give me some of that. Jim, throw a groupie at me every once in a while, will you, please? If I was John Densmore.
Very quickly, I'll just say for anybody listening, this is Pods Like Us, and this is Marv, and I'm talking with my friends Gill from the Mindbuzz Podcast and Dave from Live Life Loud, the Decibolic Podcast. Right, we can carry on talking.
It feels like we just had
be free and easy. Hey,
right?
You're joining in a conversation that's just flowing.
It's like we had one of those great pre-credit scenes that they show in some of the television shows or something, where they've got this. It was like, and then all of a sudden the credits finally show up. It's like, oh, okay, like a James Bond film,
or CSI that's coming back later this year.
I hope so.
We're live now.
We are live now. We're live now, Gil.
Oh, okay.
We are doing
We're on air. We're on air. I didn't hear the buzzer or bell or the on air.
Oh yeah. We're back. Yeah, we're back to the Quibble again.
There we go.
We need to get one. We need to get you one.
We do. That's true. I just thought I'd go free and easy like you do with your show, Gil, where you're just talking and suddenly you'll go, oh yeah, we're doing a show now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you're just in the flow and you're like, oh, I'm recording a show here. I better tell people that they're listening to the Mindbuzz.
Yeah, my last host, we were talking for like a good 45 minutes, and I'm like, we're talking. I was thinking to myself, how do you even make any introductions? Well, hello everybody, welcome to the Mindbuzz, and he was like, what the heck just happened?
Yeah,
that whole time you weren't recording, Gil? No, we were recording.
Yeah, we were recording.
First hour, we're just, hanging out.
Yeah. Like that time we did the last chat or whatever between the three of us, and then all of a sudden I just sort of decided, didn't I, to do the introduction there and then we carried on. And then I moved the introduction back to the beginning again that time.
There you go.
It doesn't matter where it is, as long as it's in there. You're good.
Yeah. So, Dave, how are you doing with your shows? You still only one or two ahead, or
I am
getting a bit further?
Yeah, I am currently 1 3/4 ahead. So I'm very excited about that. I went from thinking I was going to be behind the 8 ball and finishing up on Monday for the next episode. And here I am, just finished editing and mastering the main interview for the episode 2 weeks from now. So I'm very excited about that.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's cool. Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
What about yourself, Gil? I bet you've got loads in the can, haven't you?
I do not. Not at the moment. They're all brewing. I'm writing right now, trying to get some different topics out there, but just the internet and media and everything is just going so fast. I can't keep up. But it's giving me a lot of content. So
nice.
I mean,
yes.
I will have one out this week, definitely. If not this week, next week.
Yeah.
The last 2 weeks have been an absolute whirlwind in so many ways, haven't they? Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Loads of stuff.
Yeah. Just so
Yeah,
so both of you are aware too, I'm also recording this on my end through my workstation. So this is going to be like episode, I think either episode 9 or 10 on my doc. I'm just going to take parts of it, not do the expanded one that you're doing, but I'm going to take, and make it part of that episode. Just something different. I get bored.
Yeah.
Nice. I get so bored.
I'll tell you what. I'll send the file to Gill, and then Gill can use it if he wants as well.
Yes. Yes.
There you go.
You just made me happy.
Welcome to the
just
Trio
the
of Pods podcast.
And
thank you.
Yeah.
Very much.
And it's great to kind of have
my Christmas gift. That's my New Year's gift.
There you go. Oh, that's awesome.
Happy New Year, Gill. Everybody loves you.
I'm just a big kid now. I'm just a big kid living out my dream.
And what I like about this is if each one of us has our own version of the episode out there, then it gives a great cross check for everyone to be able to hear. Oh, this is Pods Like Us. This is Marv. This is Gill. This is the Mindbuzz. So it's a little more relaxed introduction to, okay, who are these guys that we hear interviewing people but really don't know, what's going on in their own minds? Are they just, voices? Are they scripted? What's up with them? So
yes.
It makes it fun for me.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yep. And I just, before this started and we were chatting online about it, I was just thinking that I wanted it to be free form in a way and just be a general chat between us three as friends in a way, rather than the usual structure. I just wanted to see if we could just chat and catch up and see what happens.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, no, now that I finally know how to actually work my workstation program that I use for recording and mastering.
That always helps.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
The
As
worst...
a podcaster, that always helps.
I have like 4 different ones that I was juggling between. What do I want to use?
Really?
Yeah, like I use GarageBand sometimes because it's just real easy to flesh out a song or an idea in it, and then it just gets rolling, and the next thing I know, okay, it's done.
Yes.
Now I'm in a completely different format, so I bounce it over to MP3 or whatever, or M4. But I like Traction.
Yep.
Waveform. Great little program that's free to anybody, full featured, no limits on anything. They give you some great plugins. If either of you get it and you don't have a lot of good plugins, I can give you some information on how to get some really nice plugins from them that work really well.
And that's
cool.
Traction?
Traction or Waveform.
Waveform.
Yeah, the company itself is called Traction. It was named Traction because the guy was working for a pro audio company, and he had a back injury while he was working on it, and so he finished working on the program while he was in Traction.
Right.
So their new versions are called Waveform. About every 16 months, they come out with a new version of the main program that they sell, but the previous version becomes free to anybody who wants to use it. So it's kind of a neat little thing. It's a little different layout. Good program, though. Very happy with how that works. And then I'm currently, because of the hardware that I have, I'm using Digital Performer from Mark of the Unicorn, or Performer Lite as they call this. And I've really been happy with that. It does what I need, and I've gotten used to how it works. It's somewhere in between Ableton Live and Pro Tools, so very easy for me to understand. I just had to learn how their shortcuts differed.
Going back to one that you've already mentioned, Dave, GarageBand.
Uh-huh.
It's great how useful that app is, because that recent Paul McCartney album, I don't know if I've said this to you before or whatever, but apparently a lot of that came from originally little things that he'd recorded on his iPhone with GarageBand. And he's still got actual files.
Right?
That he'd recorded on GarageBand. He's still got them as tracks on the eventual album songs as well. And you think, wow, that quality is so good that it's on an actual album by a professional, artist like Paul McCartney. It's wow, incredible.
Imagine if the Beatles had GarageBand.
Oh my god!
How much more music?
Yeah, absolutely.
They would have.
Yeah.
Imagine how lush and how big their orchestrations would have been. I mean, think of Jimi Hendrix.
Yes.
If he had more, if he was able to go back and do what he did.
Yeah.
I mean, often I feel, and this is going to segue away and then we can get back to it, but Rabbit Trail, often I feel like Prince was a spiritual successor to Hendrix.
Yep.
And then we can get back to whatever.
Yes.
But,
I'd have loved to have seen what Prince would have done with the GarageBand back in the day, actually.
Right.
Before he had the Paisley Park studio at his disposal. That would have been, wow. Yeah. Because that guy was quick.
Yeah.
Even jazz players back in, the 50s, the 40s and 50s, if they had GarageBand, that's... I've recently this year I've gotten into, and I posted about it too, about jazz. I watched this film that PBS does. I don't ask me. I don't know why I was watching PBS, but this jazz thing came up, and I was like, oh, cool. So it's like the whole history of jazz. I still have to get through the 20th century of jazz, but. Oh man, that's when I went on Spotify and I searched jazz classics, and I'm still in awe.
Right.
Of all these artists, and just the soul history of jazz is just amazing, especially coming from the roots all over, not even all over America, but down from the South and then up north, and I love history, so. The history of jazz. I think they call it jazz history or something like that. It's on PBS. I think I was watching it on Amazon Prime, and it's amazing. But go ahead. I just wanted to add in that jazz is just awesome.
Hey,
yeah. Go on, Dave.
No, I just could say, I was my first attempt at college. Was as a jazz major playing guitar.
Really?
So yeah, I had been in working with a couple different groups. Started off with some basic blues stuff, but immediately wanted to get into playing Zeppelin and Hendrix and The Doors, and
yes,
there was something else that came up at that time too that was really popular for me. And I'm like, to really get a handle on it. Or at least what I had gathered from all the time was, the best way to get a handle on my capabilities was to learn jazz. So I spent almost 2 years as a jazz major at a local community college.
Your jazz guitar, then, would you be influenced with the Schofield / McLaughlin side or the Joe Pass, Larry Carlton side of things?
I'd probably go on the Carlton Pass side. Also more though than that, Miles Davis.
Yep.
There is something that just drew me to how horns and how saxophonists phrase things in jazz. So often when I'm thinking of things in my head and I'm playing, I think in those kind of phrasing terms rather than the standard guitar lines. I try to think more like, what would a horn be doing right now? Kind of like what Keith Richards originally did for Satisfaction. That little fuzz part was supposed to be a group of a trio of trumpets going dun 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 dun, and he just played it on a fuzz track. And like, well, we don't have any money for your horn section, so we're keeping what you just did.
Yeah, and the same with the rhythm that he's got in Jumping Jack Flash. That's got a very horn sort of sound to it as well, a brass sound that you'd normally have in the horn section on a song. That's got that or whatever. You can actually hear horns in your head doing those parts.
Yeah. And so jazz, especially because a lot of the stuff that you do with jazz is music, you go more into making it for the phrase, making it for the rhythm, not just to show off how many notes you can cram into 3 seconds. I mean, we all know the joke. You can either be a jazz player and play 1,000 notes for 10 people, or you can be a rock star and play 10 notes for 1,000 people. But regardless of that, it's just the blank space, and that probably is where my drawing and art stuff comes into play. Is for me, blank space is as important as everything else going on. You might not be able to tell it by my intro, but it's definitely there.
It's funny that you mentioned Miles Davis, because I was going to say when we were both sort of talking around each other, I was going to mention Miles Davis and say that I've said to someone before when I went to a shop and I was talking about his later period, and I was saying to that person that if you look at it, a lot of the Miles Davis material with jazz is actually bringing in what's going to come next in the jazz world. So in the late 60s, you've got him ushering in what would become jazz fusion and progressive jazz.
Yes.
Wouldn't you? Like with In a Silent Way and Bitches Brew and albums like that, he's got that sort of, he's ushering that in. He's the beginning of basically what you get with Weather Report, Mahavishnu Orchestra, and those groups. And then in the early 70s, or around 73, 74, he ushers in the jazz funk with things like On the Corner and albums like that. So he's always there spearheading these new movements in jazz that are coming up.
Yes. That's what I have to say to that. Yes. Oh, but yeah.
So and there you go.
And circling,
there you go, Gil. Sort out your Miles Davis.
Yeah. And,
I actually had to just look him up. Honestly, I have to give him a quick Google.
But yeah, circling back around to what we were talking about with multitrack, just imagine how big and bombastic and lush a lot of the stuff that he did would just have become.
Oh yeah.
Although on the other side of that, just how fresh would everything still sound today, even in its stripped down format. I mean, like, so what? That is just beautiful the way it is.
It is. Yeah.
The brush on the snare, it replicates the sound. It always replicated the sound of a needle on a record to me. The way the guy was doing the brushes on the drum set for that song.
Yeah. I always think that song sounds better on vinyl because of that as well, because it's got that almost same timing that you've got on the brush sound, that scratchy sound you've got on the vinyl.
Yes.
It's at the same pace as what he's doing with those brushes on the drums.
Agreed. Yeah, it just makes it happen, and it makes you appreciate vinyl so much more when you hear things like that. And even today, like I was, or not necessarily right today, but a few years back, I was having to demo some equipment for a company I was working for, and someone's like, "Hey, why do you have that hiss in the background?" And I had to stop and listen, and it was like an Alicia Keys song or something. I'm like, "Oh, that's actually part of the recording."
Yeah,
has nothing to do with the fidelity of what you're listening through. It has to do everything with they're trying to emulate that grainy vinyl sound.
Yeah. So they've used something onboard on a computer or processor to create that, whereas back in the day we would just naturally have had that because we used reel to reel back in the 80s and then in the early 90s. I was still using reel to record back then as well.
Yeah, my dad still has his original reel to reel from the 60s or 70s, and that thing is an amazing piece of work. His old TIAC.
Yeah, I still use my 4-track tape recorder to record with.
That is awesome. I have one. It allowed me to resurrect one of the first recordings that my second or third band did. So that was kind of neat.
You guys are speaking a foreign language to me.
4-track?
Before there was digital, we all had to use tape, Gil.
Yeah. You know,
History class.
audio looked like movie reels, like actual physical movie reels, only it was audio.
Oh dear me! You used to have to cut it up and cut bits out and stick it back together again to tidy up the record.
I remember putting a tape in a like a small radio and waiting for like a good song to come on, and I just remember like not getting like the first like 20 seconds of a song because I liked it so much to put my tape recorder and to record it on the radio. I remember that. I remember those times. And then later on the CDs came out and I used to record on CDs. I mean that was when I first started getting into like music and stuff as a kid, to show my age.
I mean, we actually have a group on Facebook. I don't know if Dave knows this, where it's called, I think it's called I've called it the 4-track recording challenge, where one person will record one track on track one, and then you'll send it in the mail to somebody else anywhere in the world, and eventually it goes from one person to another, to another, then to the final person. The fourth person will then put their track on, mix it, and then put the song up online. And you've all created a song just from that original first track of an instrument. And before that, there was no song.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool.
That is awesome.
Really cool.
No, I haven't heard that yet.
How far do you guys get, like in like what countries?
Oh, one of them that I did for
states?
a challenge. One of them that I did for a challenge, it had myself, so in Nottinghamshire, UK, and then I sent it to somebody, I think he was in Iowa, and then it went to somebody in Melbourne, Australia, and it finished in somewhere in Japan, Yokohama, I think, in Japan.
That's sweet.
Isn't it? I mean, you'd have
awesome.
nothing to do with each other. No, otherwise you wouldn't be doing anything, would you? Because you're that far apart from each other. It's not like you can be in the same room. But doing it that way, it's like, wow, incredible.
I should see if he could find that. That'd be a great insert for right about now. A little snippet of it.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Wow. I need to find that. You're making me do more work than I normally do.
Do the song.
Yeah, just find this song and put that in this place here. I'll just edit it in there.
Oh, this is how my brain works when I do podcasts. So welcome to my world. I will take things and cut them up and place them. I don't like using the insert feature that they have in the program, so I just create extra tracks and bounce stuff down to that track and then pull it back up to where I want it to be and spread it out and all that. I guess that for me is the modern version of tape cutting. So for some reason it feels good to be doing something more physical than just to click a button and have it magically appear in the right space. In
a way, it's better to do it that way with an extra track, because otherwise, if you try to insert it into there, you sometimes get a glitch, that you have to then try and correct in the software. You have to do something about it, edit it. Whereas if you put it on a different track, you don't get that same effect. So you don't have to keep cleaning it up and fade out and fade in and doing tricks like that to get rid of those glitches where you're going from where you've thrown a track in the middle, or you've done what we used to do in the days. We used to call it a punch-in.
Yes.
But now, because you're doing it digitally, you actually get a glitch there where you didn't back in the day with a punch-in.
It's true.
On tape.
Yeah, and the nice thing about that is then you also have the ability to EQ it however you need to or whatever to enhance it to make it sound good. All those fun little things.
Probably lost a ton of people listening now who are just going, God damn, this is boring.
You guys are speaking a foreign language to me.
All right, well, we're off of that. So let's see, we discussed jazz. We got a little bit into power trios. We've talked about Prince. We talked about Prince and Hendrix. And, I'm still convinced to this day that Jimi Hendrix didn't die. He just restarted as Richard Pryor, but that's my own theory. That can go somewhere else someday. Everyone's just like, what? Richard Pryor and Prince and Jimi Hendrix and what?
I'm picturing Jimi Hendrix now in Silver Streak.
Hey, man.
Oh, dear.
That's a train.
Or in Stir Crazy when they're dressed in those bird costumes.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Wait, a bird costume?
Oh yeah, they're in costume, aren't they? In
Silver Streak. Or which one?
It's that one where they're in prison, isn't it? And they're escaping from prison, so they're in bird costumes or something, aren't they? Stir Crazy. Richard Pryor and
Stir
Gene
Crazy.
Wilder.
There you go.
I have to find this video.
Gil, you would love that film. It's a classic. It's a good film.
It's a film.
Yes,
it is a film.
Yes.
Yeah.
Richard Pryor, Gene Wilder. Gene Wilder, the guy who did Willy Wonka, right, the first time.
Yes.
Yeah. They didn't need to make another one because they'd already got it perfect with Gene Wilder.
So true, man.
That Willy Wonka film. Yeah.
So, Johnny. All respects to Johnny Depp, but he lost me when he did that film. I mean, altogether it was great, but the one thing that I took offensive to that was the Oompa Loompas.
Okay. Yeah.
It's going to sound wild, but it was just the Oompa Loompas. Why did you have to do the Oompa Loompas like that? You didn't have to do them like that. They were fine. No. They were fine. Orange and green hair. They were good.
But you also find in a way that those older films, without all of the CGI and whatever they've got in the Tim Burton version, the older films have got a certain magic with the special effects that they used.
Yes.
Agreed. That adds to that sort of childish wonder that you've got in that story naturally. You're almost taking away the child, the story's there for a child by adding all of that gloss and the computer graphics and everything to the film.
Yeah, like the original Chocolate Room, you can't get any better than that, than the original Chocolate Room with the chocolate fountain. You
so
just can't.
True.
I mean, cinematically and just the art director and set person that just overall designed that thing. I mean, it's imagination when he sings that song.
Yes.
Absolutely. I love that song, Pure Imagination.
Yes.
Nice song that is. Yeah. Yes.
I'm trying my best not to hum it right now, so that's why I'm being so quiet.
I'm humming it in my head right now. I'm trying not to let it go.
I know I did a show about music with that was a group show before Christmas, and Jen Longworth, who is, I think she owns a Bourbon Barrel podcasting, or she works. Yeah, she does own them actually, the company. She was saying, because she was on the show, and she just said, she says, I'm hating this. She says, every time you lot are talking about songs, I've got them stuck in my head. And she says, I'm going to have them stuck in my head now for the whole day, all these songs that you're mentioning. And I said, that's the good thing about music. If a song sticks in your head, it sticks in your head for a reason.
Yes. I still have the opening to Light My Fire stuck in my head. But then after that, it's Pure Imagination.
Now we've got to try and think of some more songs to be stuck in your head now, and we'll have a playlist for you.
No doubt.
Can we think of any Jimi Hendrix or Led Zeppelin songs to be stuck in Gill's head?
Wait, I think everybody knows the riff to Black Dog because it has been taken and inspired so many other tunes from it. Like it was in my opinion, it's one of the that really exemplified the riff era of guitar playing.
Yep.
We had that whole part, and then Bonham trying to figure out how to play through it because the riff is in 3/4 time, and he just played through it in regular 4/4, and it just worked.
Yeah. Where did that riff come from? Because it's almost cut up where it fits in the meter. It's like it's like, pardon?
Yeah, that was written by John Paul Jones.
Wow. Yeah.
It was not done by Page at all. It was a musing of John Paul Jones that he came up with.
So did he write that on the bass, or did he write that on guitar? Because I know he knows that he can play guitar, John Paul Jones. I know that from his solo stuff, but his soundtracks. But so did he write that on guitar or bass?
I don't know.
No,
I really don't know. I know that it was inspired by John Paul Jones listening to Electric Mud by Muddy Waters.
Okay,
but that's about as much as I know about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got me thinking now. I need to create a blues in 3/4.
Right, and then just have the drum play through it at regular time and have it all come out in the end because it was that mid riff, the da da da, yeah, da 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 da, and that right after the main riff. That right, yeah.
it's a bit like in the early 80s, Genesis did a song on the Abacab album called Keep It Dark. And that's a strange one because the music is in 6/8, but Phil Collins on the drums is doing a 4/4. And it just blows your mind that it meets perfectly, even though they're doing two different time signatures.
That's the beauty of music and math. It just works out.
Yeah.
It's kind of like jazz. You know?
Eventually, three fours are 12, and two sixes are 12. So eventually they meet up.
Yeah, one wrong note is blues. More than one wrong note is jazz. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, that sounds very similar to a Miles Davis quote. That does.
That's.
There's no such thing as a wrong note. I think that's what it's something like that. I think something about there's no such thing as a wrong note. If it sounds right, then it's right.
Yes, I concur with that. It's only wrong if you feel it's wrong, and then you let everybody else know it is. Until then, it's intentional. It's part of the show.
And don't ever work for James Brown back in the day because he used to fine people for making errors during playing songs.
Oof. Watch me.
Yeah, he did. Because apparently, I've heard that you'll see him on stage and someone will play one note or something wrong and he'll turn around and he'll just point to them. And there's somebody at the side of the stage who worked for James Brown, and he used to take notes,
a ledger,
and write down he'd have a ledger of how many times each person's done a mistake, and then they'd dock him the pay for the concert.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I could just hear him if he was actually vocalizing it. $2.
Hot tub.
No chicken dinner for you.
The Eddie Murphy impression that oh my gosh. Have you guys
Eddie Murphy in Coming to America when he does that singing?
I recently watched Eddie Murphy's Delirium, or is it Delirious or Delirium? The stand up where he's
Delirious.
Where he's in the red leather jacket.
That red leather suit that he will never ever be able to fit in now.
Oh man, I was rolling. It was like midnight, and I was watching that thing, and he had me dying. There's a lot of things he said in there that you just, if you say now, like just in comedy, if you say now, like you're canceled with all this cancel culture. Like if every joke, like even the opening jokes that he did about homosexuals, and I mean, come on, it's just classic. What he did is just classic. And then I watched his other one, Raw. Well, that Delirium was 83, and then Raw was in 87.
Yep, I think so.
Yeah.
And just all these AIDS jokes, and I'm like, dude, like, I mean, that's when the height of the AIDS epidemic was at its highest, and this guy was making jokes. It's like, now you look back at it being funny, but I can just imagine how it would be back in that time, just as a viewer listening to this guy, comically.
Yeah.
It all depended on who you were too.
Yeah.
I worked for some people, or I should say at one point in my life, I was working around some sticks in the mud and things that my sense of humor just found absolutely hilarious. They found to be completely inappropriate and offensive. And I'm like, okay, I didn't think it was that bad. I didn't swear.
Did I say the F word? No.
Yeah, I mean, whatevs, but okay.
But yeah, that you can see where my mind is.
Oh yeah,
that hilarious. The whole thing was just hilarious. I didn't find offense to anything that man said. So
yeah, no,
that's where my humor is.
Well, and he brought it off.
Anybody?
Yeah, he brought it off as art. He wasn't trying to.
Yeah.
He wasn't, necessarily doing it for the sake of shock. Yeah, or at that point, it wasn't like in Raw where he was just dropping more F-bombs than we ever could on any given country.
Yes.
But yeah, no, and cancel culture. I mean, look, they fired and rehired James Gunn for crying out loud over something that he posted on Twitter 5 years prior.
Yeah. 5 years?
I think it was something like that, because it wasn't like in 2014. Because it was 2018 when they fired him, and I think it was 2014 that the twit was when the tweet was made.
The twit.
When the twit made the tweet, and everyone got all unhappy with him about it because someone went back and combed through everything that he ever posted and said, "Oh, this was not good, naughty, bad for you," and so they fired him from Guardians of the Galaxy and realized very quickly that was not a good move.
Awful. 5 years. Something you said 5 years can get you. That's
right.
No bueno.
And we've seen that in the politics bashing all the time. Somebody changes a stance. Well, they said this back in 1978. Yeah, well, it's 2019 now, bro. So I don't get it. People are allowed to actually, grow up, change their mind.
Yeah, Can I just say something without being, automatically thinking whatever? I mean, I don't even know what to say to that. That's just horrible. I mean, we're in the cancel culture now, so I can't even think about what people said, back in the day before cancel culture.
I think it's the potential bad side to social network, really, isn't it? That where you put something out there and it's there for everybody to see. You can go back to it and that. But I seem to remember that thing with James Gunn, that wasn't he sort of anti-Trump or something, and somebody from Trump's thing actually brought that into the open about James Gunn saying that, almost to basically bring it out in the open so it'd do something to James Gunn's career. I can't remember now.
I don't know who James Gunn is. Who's that?
He's the director for Guardians of the Galaxy. He did Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2.
The director.
Yeah.
So, and he wrote the Guardians of the Galaxy films as well. Yeah.
Got it. Imagine if does Richard Pryor have a Twitter? No, he passed away, didn't he?
I'm sure somebody is doing.
Imagine if he has a Twitter. Oh my gosh!
His ex-wife's probably got a Twitter with his name on it or something.
So,
follow that right now.
A bit like Prince's family have got an Instagram account for Prince,
Or if Rodney Dangerfield had a Twitter account.
Yeah, I mean
Instagram.
Elvis Presley's got an Instagram account.
I'm right.
That's verified.
I mean, there was something
verified.
Yeah, it's verified. It's got the green tick.
Back in the
that guy's been dead for 43 and a half years. And this is really Elvis Presley that has this account.
My parents probably taught me one of the most valuable lessons back in the day, and that is, if I don't agree with something or I find it offensive, I turn it off.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Turn it off.
These people that writing about films and television and that, if you don't like the program, turn it off. Put something else on.
There's an option. I mean, we live in 2021. There's a million different things that you can do with your little computer in your pocket. And I mean, there's 7.2 billion people on this earth, and you're going to let one person's word on the internet, you don't even know where these people are from, and you're going to let that kind of, ruin your whole day. I mean, come on. Like, I posted this thing about this article, this science, and it verified from, a science article that I posted on the Mindbuzz Podcast Instagram, and it was about this gentleman who brewed a magic mushroom tea, and he drank it. Or no, he didn't drink it. He like injected it into like his body, and I guess the headline said magic mushrooms grows inside man. But
yeah, I saw that.
like you saw that, right?
Yeah.
But when you go down to the comments on my post, like there was just all these pro psychedelic people. No, I get it. Like I get it. Oh, this is anti-drug. This is anti-psychedelics. But it's like, dude, come on. They're using this as clickbait. But if you actually go into the article and actually read the article, take 10 minutes away from your bong and put that down and actually read the science article, you can tell that is the headline is just a way to get you hooked to reading the article. And the article is backed by scientific proof and just backed by scientists and mycologists also that study these kinds of fungus. And you'll read that this stuff can happen. And I read it, and it just, the guy got a fungal infection. Caps and stems didn't really grow in his body. Come on, that's absurd. Like, really? Come on, dude. Don't get mad. And these guys were getting mad at me because I posted it. They're like, why are you posting this fake stuff? I'm like, what are you talking about, fake stuff? Read the article. Did you read it?
Of course,
sir.
But
No,
but then,
you didn't. You just read the headline.
Yeah.
exactly,
I've
there.
I've done that before, though. When I've put things up online that I've seen, and I've sort of like scanned the article in a way, but missed everything in the article, put it up, and then somebody's put up, dude, have you read all this article? And then they'll point something out that I've missed, and I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't see that. So you have to be really careful what you put up, and also that if you do respond to something that someone's put up, make sure that you know what you're actually responding to, and basically what you're putting up as well.
Yeah, my girlfriend is my PR person, definitely. She that's what she tells me. She's like, just watch what you reply to these kinds of people, because the Mindbuzz Podcast Instagram account or Facebook account is not private, and it's open to anybody willing to go on to the page. So just anybody, like anything that my post falls into the algorithm, like it reaches so many people, and other people have their doubts. Like I was saying about the magic mushrooms thing, like I had lots of people from like both sides. They're like, oh, what? No way, this is crazy. And then like others, like I said, like these other guys saying, oh, this is wrong. The fake news, fake this is a fake article to get people to start bashing psychedelic drugs. Even we're in the area of decriminalizing them in the United States, and it's still like, dude, read the article. That's why I posted it. I even put the link on the post also for people to copy and paste on there. And it's still like, you didn't read the whole thing. If you read the whole thing, then you'll know that this guy got a fungal infection from injecting himself with magic mushrooms. I mean, come on. What do you think that's going to happen? What do you think?
Is when you put books up that you read. I mean, I've put it up as well, because when we talked last time,
yes,
I actually put up to prove, didn't I? I put up that my own copy of the Tibetan Book of the Dead that I've got.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
Or whatever. And then you get people sort of question you about it, and you think, if you actually read that book, how can you comment on a book that you have absolutely no knowledge whatsoever about?
Don't judge a book by its cover. I mean,
literally in that case, yeah.
there's an old saying. and a song too, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a song called that as well. Don't judge a book by its cover. Yeah.
Or at least an opening. I mean, I don't know.
That's Aerosmith. Don't judge a book by its cover or who you're going to love by your lover.
Right.
Yes.
Dude looks like a lady.
Of course it is. Yeah, dude looks like a lady. Yeah,
yeah, written in part by Desmond Child.
Oh, the man that's written for so many bands, it's unbelievable. Between him and Diane Warren, they've written for basically everybody.
Yeah, he wrote Gene Simmons' favorite Kiss song. I'm totally kidding there. It's his least favorite song ever in the lineup. I Was Made for Loving You.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is a good song.
It's a great song.
I love that song.
Gene hates it.
I disagree with Gene on that one. I'm sorry, Gene.
Well, it's because it made money and it wasn't his.
Yeah. Your acting's terrible in Runaway, and you've got a bad taste in songs. Sorry.
And it had. I think because it had it wasn't like rock and roll enough for him. Maybe because it was more on like the disco side and the more on the groovy side rather than the hard metal stuff that they used to play. Or are they even considered metal?
Pop metal.
Was that considered metal back in the 70s?
I've not thought about that before now, but you're right, Gil. It's almost like the Blondie sort of feel with Atomic and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's got that sort of feel to it.
Yeah, they're kind of like post-punk. It was like they didn't know they couldn't play punk music, but they knew how to make hooks and write lyrical hooks.
I mean, when at the height of their career, who was going, on the punk side? Was it the Ramones? Maybe was it the Who? When they were going.
Yeah,
I mean, they're the only ones with the makeup, right? And the whole get-up and the stage stuff.
Yeah, that was their shtick, and because it was 73 was when they came around.
Yeah,
73.
So they would have been influenced. The stage makeup, that would have been an influence from glam rock, wouldn't it, of the early 70s?
Yeah,
Mark Bolan and T-Rex and that sort of thing.
UFO,
David Bowie.
Well, UFO would have come after. But yeah, David Bowie for sure. He was, again, not necessarily the pioneer, but he was the one who made it popular.
Yeah.
I guess he developed that whole persona around it, and that's kind of what Kiss did. Was each of them had their own persona. The demon, the Star Child, and all that.
Yeah. Well, the Star Child was probably influenced by Aladdin Sane. I would have thought that era of David Bowie. Yeah,
I would think so.
Yeah. But David Bowie there. I was going to say David Bowie there. You've got somebody who, thinking about it, you've not just got his material, but he was influential in other ways because his work with the Stooges and Iggy Pop and Lou Reed.
Yeah.
Because he was a producer for all of those, I think. Yeah, he produced Raw Power, didn't he, by the Stooges? Their best album, arguably.
I didn't know that when Nirvana did The Man Who Sold the World, that was a David Bowie song. Isn't that wild?
It's one of those things, isn't it, where you'll listen to a song and you'll listen and think, that's a really good song. And only after so long do you find out, oh, that's a cover version. There's a lot of songs like that you'll hear. And you'll think, oh, I didn't know that was a cover version.
I watched the film about David Bowie, and that tune came out, like that opening guitar tune from The Man Who Sold the World. It came out, and I was like, where have I heard that song before?
Yeah.
I'm thinking in my head, I was like, this is Nirvana. Wait, hold on. Wait a minute. This is not happening. And I looked it up, and I was like, dude, like I fell in love with that album. That whole album is like my theme. Well, it was my theme, a couple of weeks ago. And just that blew my mind. It blew my mind that I thought Nirvana and I thought that was their original song.
Yeah.
I mean, I never really Googled it or anything, but awesome.
It happens a lot with Bob Dylan songs as well, doesn't it?
Where
you'll hear a song and you'll not know that it's a Bob Dylan song.
Can I drop another Nirvana?
Go on, Dave.
I was going to say, can I quickly drop another Nirvana mind bomb on you?
Blow my mind, Dave.
Come As You Are. Or not Come As You Are. Yeah, Come As You Are was based on a riff from a song called 80s by the band Killing Joke.
Killing Joke.
Yes, it is.
Have to go look that up. Have to go listen to the song 80s by Killing Joke and then listen to Come As You Are.
It is, because that's on that's the first Killing Joke album
Yes.
that's on. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Yep, did not make that band happy.
I've not now that I listen to it, I can hear the song 80s. I can hear that.
So,
Wow. There you
80s.
go. Mind's blown.
Got it.
Yep. You'd like Killing Joke as well. They're fabulous. They are. They're sort of like they've got a punky edge, but because of the original bass player Youth, he has a very dub sample sort of approach to his music, to what he puts into the music. So his bass lines will be that sort of way inclined. And as a producer, he's an incredible producer. He's worked with Crowded House and all sorts of people.
That is such a mind F that I nature called. So give me about 2 seconds. I have caffeine on an IV at the moment because of the new semester that I started. So that coffee's calling. So the Mindbuzz will be back in like 3 minutes.
Tell you what, Gil, we'll leave it there and we'll come back and have another chat and we'll just put the two chats together as an entire episode. How does that sound?
sounds solid to me.
Or what?
Yeah.
You're okay with that, Dave? Because I've got to get ready for work. I start
Right.
working.
Yeah. Yeah. We've had a
okay.
good, believe it or not, it's been over an hour conversation so far. This was great. So,
Okay. Maybe that's why. My last podcast was like 2 hours. It was 3 hours. It was 3 hours, and I had to cut it down to 2 hours because that's all I had on my hosting thing. But I
thought you would have made that into 3 or 4 shows, Gil.
No, I was going to do that. That was my original plan when I went into it. But I was like, you know what? All this stuff is just so good that I do not want to cut it up, and I'll just throw that. I'll just throw that all in there, and a buddy of mine, Adam, he's hilarious. We've been friends forever, so we can do a like 4-hour podcast. Honestly, we can. If we really wanted to, if we had enough coffee and cannabis to get us, through that podcast, we'll do it.
I think us 3, if I wasn't going to work and we didn't have other things, we would probably be the same way.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. This was great.
It was.
I think that's a great topic.
Anyway, Happy New Year, guys. And as if by magic for the listener, we are about to move to the future, to next week when we talk again and put it into the same episode.
There we go. Computer.
I have a delivery from Amazon coming sometime shortly, so I don't know when they're going to turn up. They have a new XLR cable for me and a bag for the new laptop, so it can be put away and not out all the time.
Nice.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm surprised now that Eddie has passed on, rest in peace, that Amazon hasn't tried to take Panama and turn it into a song about them.
Yes. Ooh. They probably listen. They're going to listen into the show now. Yeah.
Don't give them any ideas.
And they'll nick that. No, they're already taking over the world, them and Disney.
Well, I heard Jeff Bezos, he's stepping down as CEO.
Well, now that he's got $3 billion in the bank, why not? Sure.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah,
too.
pocket change.
Pocket monkey.
Pocket change.
Excuse me. I am finally, for once, going through issues with my software. I've never had this happen before.
Yeah.
Why is this being so dorky?
I've already said to Gill that I've got microphone envy because I'm using the phone and you two have your schmancy-mancy new Jaws.
Yes. Gil, so yours was gifted to you. That is so awesome, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It's not a bad way to go at all.
No, not at all.
So is that a fan of the show that did that, or a friend or family?
A friend.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Friends are cool. Yeah. I like having friends.
Aren't they?
I like friends. I like them. I like having you two as friends.
Oh, yeah. You guys are great.
Yeah. I've started writing my segment again, Gil, for this next show of yours, and hopefully, hopefully you'll have sound with it this time.
That was so weird.
It was so weird. I recorded it, and there was a sound wave, and then I sent it to you, and there was no sound on the file that you got.
You know, Marv?
Yep.
Yeah, I have no idea what happened.
That happened. No. I sent you a file as well.
Yeah.
But for me, I found out what it was. For some beautiful reason, I have to press the play button in the software, or else it will say it's creating a file, and it does create a file, but it's like Taylor Swift. It's all blank space. Wow.
That's it. We keep mentioning Taylor Swift. Eventually, she'll give us sponsorship money.
Yeah. Eventually.
Yes. Yeah. We can hope. Oh, and we want sponsor money from all these companies we mentioned. Thanks.
At least from one.
Oh, right? Yes. Yeah.
Or have somebody call us and tell us how to set up affiliate links, and we'll be happy.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
There you go. That's it.
Way to go. I was reading on those, and that's like step one, at least for like a passive income. Small increments, but you gotta drive your people to that link.
Right. Yeah, you have to have some way that makes it easy, included in every single thing you do.
Yeah.
It's just
It's like I used to do a blog about. I think I was doing a blog about the solo Beatles songs and going through them and explaining, the chords and the structures and that. And I thought, oh, I might be able to make a bit of cash from this and have a link to because they used to have this thing on Amazon called Amazon Affiliates. So I'd have links to whatever albums the songs were from. I'd have a link to the Amazon page for that through the affiliate thing that they had in place. But it was ridiculous because you'd get a penny for every 100 hit or something. So you'd think, well, why am I even bothering doing this? Because it's almost pointless. It's like sales on Spotify or something.
I was not going to use the S word, but that's
I'm very sorry. They'll be removing me now at this rate.
Oh yeah, probably.
Oh, I need to stop talking about advertisement then. On my.
What I really want to know though is why is spilled liquid soap so hard to clean up?
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, why? But it's supposed to be something that cleans. So why is something that's supposed to clean a pain to be able to clean off?
Right? Soap clean thyself. I don't know.
If you use a towel to clean it up, I mean, you clean the towel also in the floor. So, yeah, two birds with one stone.
You can. Yep, that's it. We can rely on Gil to come out with the best answer. If you clean it with a towel, you've cleaned the towel at the same time.
Well, yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Two birds, one stone.
Yeah, that's what he said. Two birds with one stone. You and Louise are thinking alike, Gil.
Yeah.
You should give Louise a microphone.
That'd be awesome.
So when we caught up last week, Gil, and you were you forgot or didn't remember when that we were getting back together. Me and Dave did like this thing of out of the hat, where there's these actual there's a physical hat that I've got, and there's like questions or prompts for subjects, and I said to Dave, I was looking forward to it. I said because one of them that I pulled out was what one item that you own could you not live without? And I said to Dave, I said, well, underwear. And then Dave said his glasses. So what one item that you own, Gil, could you not live without?
One thing?
Yeah, that you own that you couldn't live without.
Well, I don't own the internet, so that's beautiful to know.
Well, nobody makes
my phone.
Does anybody?
It has to be my phone.
It has to be your phone, right?
It has to be my phone. It has to. I'm a millennial, and if I don't have my phone, I would melt.
Wow. Go on then. What other out of the hat have we got? Oh,
and now for out of the hat.
Out of the hat. You can actually hear me pulling it out of the hat.
Yeah.
See that? Yeah. An actual piece of paper. Oh. Well, I know the answer to this with Dave. Okay. Have you ever met anyone famous?
Ooh, that's good. Have you ever met anyone famous? Or who was the first famous person you met?
Well, yes. Yeah.
Don Knotts was the first famous person I met.
Okay.
Met him at the Old Town Playhouse in Traverse City, Michigan. He was actually in a play.
Wow.
So Don Knotts.
Who was the first famous person I met? Well, it wouldn't translate. I don't know. Probably the bass player from a late 70s, early 80s punk band called Stiff Little Fingers. I was playing a gig in a pub somewhere, and he was there at the time as a talent scout for a record company, and we had a chat with him, and he was saying, you two, you and the guitarist, because we were trio at the time, he said, you two are fine, ditch the drummer.
Gordy Blair, huh?
Yes, yeah. But not the best thing to say, because drummers are probably one of the most difficult things to get hold of.
And yet we have so many good jokes about drummers.
I know.
Like, how do you know when the stage platform is even? The drill runs out both sides of the drummer's mouth.
Yes.
How do you get a drummer to leave your house? Pay him for the pizza.
Pay him for the pizza.
Oh man.
Go on then, Gil. Who have you met that's famous?
You know what? I don't think I've met anybody famous.
No.
Okay, who was famous that got a chance to meet you then?
That's it. People need to meet Gil, because Gil's fast becoming famous on the internet.
Oh no, that'd be nice. Oh no, Miley Cyrus.
Wow, have you met Miley Cyrus, or have you just gone to see her in concert?
No, I just said that.
Anna.
Good thing for YouTube. No, you know what? I haven't met anybody famous. I've seen somebody famous. I didn't actually meet them. I didn't have the guts to go up and say hello. But Russell Simmons.
Wow.
Yeah. I seen him at a vegan restaurant in downtown LA. Yeah,
Wow, that guy is so cool.
Yeah, he was just sitting right there. He was eating, and I was like, that's Simmons. But yeah, I mean, I seen him. I didn't actually meet him, but that's my close encounter with somebody famous.
You just know that if you went up to somebody like that and then you started, I mean, like him, you'd be going, well, basically talking about the history of hip hop. He would probably be so sick of you within a couple of minutes, because these celebrities don't really want that, do they? When they're out on their own and, you know, in their own private lives, they don't want you encroaching on it and asking them those sort of things.
Yeah, I don't think so. Especially when he was eating.
Yeah, but he's the perfect person to ask about that subject.
Oh yeah.
This awkward silence brought to you by No Thoughts at All.
That's right. So what have you both been up to this week then? Gil, how did your show go on Monday then, your new experiment?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I think it's I'm looking at the stats right now, and initially I get the same, response and downloads, but I will see what happens over the weekend, because I usually get like a little small spikes, at least starting today all the way up until Sunday, but we'll see. And also, to throw another kind of variable into that, is the episode that aired today with Dave. So
Yes.
I want to look at that to see how that's going to take a hit on the last one recorded. You know what I mean? So this is the first time, at least for me, putting out content within the same week. So I want to see how that's gonna look.
Yeah, I saw it's like about an hour and 30 minutes, which isn't too shy of our conversation.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'm doing time with this little experiment.
And you got you did very well on that Monday show. You weren't too far off your original plan of half an hour.
Yeah, right. Dude, I need like a buzzer or somebody to pull the mic or pull the plug off of me from talking sometimes.
Yeah, we got through 2/3 of the questions, so it wasn't that bad.
You're like one of those, those things you used to have as a kid. Those little where you pull a cord and it should just keep talking and never stop. Until the cords run out, and then you pull it again. And so you're sort of like, you get onto Zoom or whatever, and you just go for it and can't stop. That's Gil.
It's like I just watched this episode of Animaniacs with my daughter. It's at the end of season 1. Yeah. And they crash this big who's who 5-star buffet, and Wacko meets this person. I can't remember his name, but he just starts talking, and like for the next 10 minutes, no matter what scene any of the Animaniacs are in, he is monologuing the entire time, right up to brushing teeth and going to bed and eating breakfast the next morning. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so insane, yet it's so hilarious. It's like seeing something and not being able to take your eyes off it, even though you don't want to see it. Like, I don't want to see this. Why am I so transfixed on this at the moment?
Yeah.
That's not what Gil did, by the way, though. He actually let me talk. So
I did.
No, because, amazingly enough, I grabbed the mic and goodbye, everybody else.
Think about Animaniacs is that, I don't know about you, Dave, but it's that sort of show where when it came out, I probably should have been not watching it, but because my younger brother was a lot younger than me, 12 years younger or whatever, I'd get away with it by watching it with him. But it's a great show no matter what age you are, because there's something in there for whatever age you are, adult or child. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the best things that Steven Spielberg has ever produced.
Yes, yeah.
There's just no way around it.
Kudos to them for bringing it back as well soon.
Right? Yeah, kudos for Hulu. Now, here's an idea that I've had, because they're on Hulu. Now,
Yep.
Hulu executives, I want you to listen. Why don't you start your own horror movie channel and call it Cthulhu? Just putting that out there for you. Wouldn't take much.
Whoa, now that is a mind buzz right there.
I would definitely subscribe to that.
It's a deep shower thought. Cthulhu.
Cthulhu.
Dear me. How many podcast things can we get into one conversation? We've got Dave's Deep Shower Thoughts and we've got the Mindbuzz Podcast.
Oh, he was rolling with those. I'm gonna do like a separate like video, different clips with all those deep shower thoughts, Dave. They didn't make the episode, but I'm gonna in the future I'm gonna put out like a kind of not like a bloopers thing, but kind of like going over the past couple of episodes or something like that. I don't know.
To be completely open and honest, actually, feel free to use that as an insert sometimes.
Wow,
Okay.
that's a great idea.
Deep shower thoughts with Dave Belknap from Live Life Loud, the Decibolic Podcast. That's totally fine.
Wow.
There's your intro right there. This is your deep shower thought with Dave Belknap from Live Life Loud, the Decibolic Podcast. There. Now you can take that little recording and do whatever you want with it.
Hey, this is Marv from Pods Like Us, and you're listening to The Mind Buzz with Gilbert Angriano.
What's that? It's Gil.
There you go.
What
Like
is
advertising machines. I've just done you a clip for your show, Gil.
You got that? You still have that hat? That's such a great idea to get like the juices flowing in the morning.
Oh, he wants the hat. Oh, here we go. What have we got now then? Can you hear that? There you go. In the hat. What now? Ooh. Actually, it could be anything, this. What's your preferred way of listening to music? CD, vinyl, or streaming?
I'm gonna have to say vinyl. For me.
Yes.
Vinyl, but with headphones,
Yeah.
so I can hear the needle.
So you can hear the needle, the vinyl.
There's something about that hissing that just just adds extra oomph to a track, especially if it's Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah, right. I mean, that needle sound works perfectly for that feel that they've got on the album as well. I've always thought that Dark Side of the Moon doesn't work as well streaming it. Well, definitely streaming it, because it's almost like it's too clear a sound for that album. And CD as well, that's got a clarity that I think takes away from the album as well. So I'd probably go with vinyl as well.
Yeah, I think because maybe so when you're listening to vinyl, it's like a consistent spin, right? So there's consistent like hissing and sound from the vinyl player, and plus that album is kind of like I don't know what you call it in music. Maybe you guys know the correct wording on this, but like when it's on an album and it's the song kind of jumps from one to two into the next, but there's no really like stop in between those two songs. It kind of just like flows into the, you know, the next song. Kind of like the Love album with the Beatles.
Yes. Yeah.
How each song kind of like flows into each other. I think it just it works beautiful. It sounds beautiful on vinyl. Yeah.
I actually think the Love album is one of the best things that the Beatles estate have brought out in the last 20 years, personally. I think that's really clever and a great piece of work.
Yeah.
Segways.
Segways, there you go.
The word for the day is segue.
Segue. Word of the day. We're coming up with these new sections for the trio of pods. Hello, you're listening to Trio of Pods. What's your favourite way to listen to music then, Dave?
Well, currently it is CD, but that is only because I am on one of my hunts to find the perfect vinyl player. So that's what happens to me is, you know, I start looking into it and then I see one and I see another and then I find all these ones that are like way more money than I'd ever feel would be good to spend on a platter device in my lifetime. So then I start slowly backing down, and then the one that I want is, you know, now on back order for at least 30 days. So just kind of waiting to see what becomes available here in the near future. But vinyl would be my preferred way. However, my collection tells me that it's CDs.
Right. Cool. So, dear me, this dead air is brought to you by Trio of Pods.
Trio. Trio.
Yes. Oh, Louise is passing me the hat again. Here we go. Wow. Well done, you. Wow. What is the best concert you've ever been to?
Oh. Dave?
The best concert I've ever been to. So one that I have attended and not played in. Okay.
Yep. Yes. That shortens the list down.
This will take me back to 1996, and the honest to goodness answer for that would be a keyboard player, singer, known primarily in the contemporary Christian market as Michael W. Smith.
Yep, I've heard of him. Yep.
He had an amazing band director behind him named Brent Borges. And what they did with the arrangements and the singers and everything was just flat out amazing to me. That was probably what hit me the most effective to me, the most memorable, because of just him taking, you know, stuff that I knew and heard, and it was all right. But he took something that was kind of just all right to me and made it great. And that was what made it probably the most memorable for me out of any of the concerts that I have been to in person. Close up on that was seeing a band in Nashville, Tennessee called Johnny Q. Public. And they were kind of a proto-punk alternative, you know, what would you call it? The Seattle sound of the early 90s, kind of that grunge thing. And at the end of they just took and they trashed everything. I mean, I don't believe a single one of their instruments survived the end of the show. They're just, it was kind of fun to watch.
But that reminds me of Jimi Hendrix because of him trashing the guitar. But apparently, every time this concert's finished, one of the roadies took the guitar or the pieces and put it all back together again.
That's commitment.
It is. Yeah. It really is. Yeah. And that roadie, whose name, here we go, useless trivia, whose name was, I think it was Jerry Stickles, ended up being chief roadie for the band Queen in the 70s and 80s.
That's because he was a champion, my friend.
Yes, we are the champions. That's Dear. What's the best concert you've been to, Gil?
You know what? I'm gonna have to say when I went to go see Slipknot a couple of years ago. That was a pretty cool show. I've seen them at Knotfest.
Yep.
Over here in the middle of nowhere in Southern California. They were cool. I seen them and Volbeat.
Yep.
Yeah, that aside from POD, that's an old band that I listened to in the 90s. Dave, have you heard of them?
Payable on Demand?
Yes.
Payable on, yes.
I might have a couple of pieces of memorabilia of theirs, or two, or something from before they got signed to a big label and then signed to a bigger label.
Yeah, they were pretty cool. I seen them like in the early maybe 2000s.
Oh wow, yeah. Late 90s here, Snuff the Punk.
Yeah.
Snuff the Punk. Them and another group that was kind of in the same vein but didn't get as much recognition called Disciple.
Oh, okay.
I remember their first album, My Daddy Can Whip Your Daddy. That was an epic album.
With an epic title.
Yeah. What about you, Marv? What's the best concert?
Probably the best concert I've seen would be Rage Against the Machine when they were touring the Battle for Los Angeles album. And, so that was, I saw them at Wembley Arena in London, and it was amazing because I was only probably 5 rows away from the front. But as I looked back, even in the stalls and on the floor, the whole arena was a mosh pit with everybody jumping throughout from start to finish. It was just wall-to-wall riffage for the whole performance. And they are an incredible band live. Amazing. But then their first album was all recorded live as well. And the second one, Evil Empire, they were both recorded live anyway. So it's amazing.
See, that's the only way I ever knew how to record stuff in the early 90s.
Yeah.
You put the band all in the same room or in sections of the same room and then just let them have at it. I always felt that got the best energy.
Yeah.
And then you go back.
It's like
everything after.
That's why Pearl Jam's 10 sounds as good as it does, because that's the band in the studio together, just going for it.
Absolutely. The best concert that I ever missed out on seeing would probably have to be Zach Sabbath.
Wow. Okay.
That was a lot of fun. It was, Zach Wild, Ozzy Osbourne's first guitar player after his hiatus following his time with Jakey Lee and after the passing of Randy Rhoads. But Zach Sabbath, him doing all Black Sabbath stuff with his group. It was probably nice. But after having to wait an hour and a half for our dinner to show up while I was in Anaheim, and then finally getting to eat it, I'm like, I just don't have the energy to walk another 2 miles tonight. I think I'll just go back to the hotel.
Last summer, I was supposed to see George Clinton at the Rock City in Nottingham. And obviously, because of everything being locked down and that, I wasn't able to see him. And that's awful, because I was really looking forward to seeing that guy, because he's a legend.
Absolutely. Oh, man, that would be sweet. I mean, the closest thing I had to that was my son. We really started getting into some of the arena rock groups. And we had tickets. We were supposed to have gone and seen in this past October, Def Leppard with ZZ Top. And I had meet and greet passes to get him into the band.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah, I would have loved to have done that, but that fell apart. Thanks, COVID.
Yeah, thanks, COVID.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
I was happy though to be able to get him to see another group from the '90s called Warrant.
Wow.
Yeah, one of the guitar
Yeah.
player for the band, who's always been in the band, also happens to be the one of the regional reference. Wow, regional reference. Sales director for a drum company, and he and I were sitting together in first class on a plane on the way from Minneapolis to Grand Rapids.
Yep.
And we got to talking, found out what each of us did, and he's like, I'm going to get you some VIP All Access passes for you and whoever you want. So bring them along, come to the gate, tell them who you are. They'll give them to you, and then come backstage and hang out. So I literally my son and I stood on stage for the entire show, just off the corner, watching the band.
That's one of those bands who you know for definite there is one song that they would have to play, isn't there? Which would be Cherry Pie.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Cherry Pie. And then, of course, Heaven Isn't Too Far Away. That song, Heaven.
Yep.
That's their power ballad, because every 90s band had to have a sappy power ballad. That was a prerequisite.
Well, every rose has its thorn. Just in case nobody knows, that's the Poison ballad.
Yes, he was actually the headliner for the show. It's Warren and Bret Michaels.
Wow.
Speaking,
he actually came to a venue near where I live, actually, a showground in Bret Michaels, and he did a gig there actually about 3 years ago, which is very strange.
Whatever it takes.
Well, yes, he'll do anything, as his television shows prove.
I see, and I haven't seen any or heard anything about that, but I'm not into those reality shows. I don't even like to know what's going on with them. It's kind of like having to choose between listening to only brutal metal or listening to only Justin Bieber. It's just someplace I don't ever want to have to go.
No. But I will say that when I saw Paul McCartney in Birmingham, that was an experience. I mean, he played for 3 hours solid. That guy,
Really?
I mean, in a way, he'd probably do his throat a lot better if he didn't talk quite so much, because 3 hours is a long slog, and trying to sing songs that he wrote, 60 years ago nearly. Wow. All credit, for trying and doing that and going out there.
What did you think of his latest stuff that came out?
I like his new album a lot. I like the more experimental side that he goes for when he's working at home on things. Yeah, there's a lot of that. I mean, what's one of the songs on there? Is it Deep Feeling or something? That one is. That's. I think I said to somebody about that it's almost like a minimalist approach to pop music in a way, because it's got that Philip Glass sort of feel to it, where you've got a groove through it, but throughout the piece it changes. But those changes, you know how Philip Glass music and Steve Reich works, it's got that sort of feel to it, which I find really interesting that he'd go for something like that, because I know that he has that interest in that music, but you never hear that in his music, because normally I think he's very pushing for the commercialism and not going so experimental, if that makes sense.
Well, that makes total sense.
So if people are listening and want a hot take and they like experimentalism, they should listen to his experiments with the producer Youth, and their project is called The Fireman. That is really interesting musically in so many ways. Wow, have I killed the conversation here?
Don't think so. I don't think so, Tim.
He's referenced Tim Farriss' show now.
Oh, Dave has a whole bunch of those.
You never know. It's the brain of Dave. You never know what's going to happen with the brain of Dave.
Dear me, he'll be calling out the Rogan next.
Don't know any of this stuff.
Call out Joe Rogan and get some of his money come our way.
Right?
Dear me.
Joe Rogan, where are you?
That's right. Be a guest on Pod Like Us.
Out. Yeah, like when you were doing the whole movie thing. Speaking of guests,
Yep.
I thought that was a pretty smooth move there to include the man who has made the man in The Mandalorian, the man who made Iron Man, the man, Jon Favreau.
Yes, I tried to get him involved.
With what he
That
was
would have been cool.
at that time, I wasn't. I would have been like, "Wow!" if he showed up, but I wouldn't have been surprised. I was surprised that he didn't because of all the stuff going on there with just making DeLorean happen and what he had to fight through.
He's done a great job with that, The Mandalorian. The reason why I tried to get him into the film show was because of Elf.
Yeah, right.
Because he directed Elf, and did he co-write the script as well? Maybe.
You got me on that one.
Yeah. But he's the doctor in the surgery, isn't he? That says to James Caan that Buddy is his son.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, have I mind blown you there?
Or have you mind buzzed us, Gil? What's the official answer there?
I think I've mind buzzed you. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We get any louder, we'll be going decibolic.
Whoa! Now we're getting chopping down those fourth walls. Look out!
Should my jokes be lost, found, or rewound?
So, does anybody remember what we talked about in the first episode?
I do, and we finished on a good. We actually finished at a good segue. Actually,
well,
so
good.
I thought we'd taken that conversation almost to its end, and in fact, I've called back to it now by mentioning the fireman with Paul McCartney because we were talking about the music producer Youth, because I was talking about his work with Killing Joke and Crowded House. And now I've called back to that by mentioning him again with his work with Paul McCartney.
Look at that.
I'm like a professional.
It's kind of like when you know who a really good comedian is because they talk about stuff at the beginning of their shtick, and somewhere towards the middle end of their shtick, they bring it back up, and you're like, oh,
yes, that's the sign of a good comedian where they've had that
bit, good old
bit
callback.
there. Yeah, and they call back to an earlier joke in the gig. That is a perfect comedian.
Yeah, because then you realize, oh wow, that joke was actually a setup. What?
Yeah.
It's like watching a movie that has a plot. Yeah. What? This movie has a plot? It's actually supposed to go somewhere? Oh my gosh. I can't believe
an end.
They're not just meandering, trying to cash in on Spaceballs 2, the search for more money? What?
You mean all those disparate characters in Pulp Fiction end up meeting in a bar at the end? What?
Wait, hold on. What did you say?
Whoa. I've buzzed Gil's mind.
Do they really meet at a bar at the end of the movie? Supposedly?
Is that... Or is it? Oh, no, what it is the beginning of the film is the end of the film as well, isn't it? Or whatever. It's the same scene. Is that how it is, Dave? I've not seen it for 20 years. Yep. Yeah.
To quote Johnny Carson's right-hand man, "You are correct, sir."
Yep.
But Tarantino is the king of the films that go here, there, and everywhere. They don't work on a linear basis, do they? They work all over. Go on.
Yeah, I would like to see Pulp Fiction in its entirety. like actually story rather than how it's actually made. I'm sure that somebody has done that on YouTube.
It's kind of solid. You'd rather see it chronologically. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
It's like Christopher Nolan. If you buy his the DVD or Blu-ray of the film Memento, and that film is about somebody with memory loss, and the film goes from the beginning to the end, it's actually going the other way around. So you start at the end and you work your way back to the beginning in that film. But there's an alternative version of it that they've put on the Blu-ray or the DVD where they've re-edited it so you get the whole story in chronological order.
And that, folks, is why physical media still rules the world.
Absolutely. Yes. You just need the space to keep it all.
How about David Lynch?
Oh.
David Lynch. I still like his version of Dune.
I've never seen that.
That is... Oh, I'm surprised you've never seen that, Gil. That's right up your street, that is.
I've just gotten into his films.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did Mulholland Drive a couple of weeks ago.
That is a good film.
And
Nick Nolte, yeah, brilliant.
Blue Velvet.
Yes, yeah.
And then after watching Blue Velvet, I was kind of stuck on listening to Ray Orbison for a week and a half.
Roy Orbison, yeah. And who is Bob? Who is that? Bobby Vinton, who did Blue Velvet, the song? Bobby Vinton, yeah. That's a great soundtrack, that film.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Was it
In Dreams by Roy Orbison was in my, and I just couldn't get that song out of my head. No matter what I did, it was just stuck there.
Now there's a sadly long forgotten singer.
Yeah,
Orbison.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Last piece being in the Traveling Wilburys just before he passed. Man,
I think In Dreams, or it might be that one or another one. There's a story where Roy Orbison said that he went to go and visit Elvis, and because Roy Orbison wrote songs for other people as well as himself back then, he was intending on, I think it was going around there and playing him the song In Dreams, I think it was, to Elvis, and he got to the security, and they turned him away because Elvis was in bed asleep.
Really?
Yeah. So if it hadn't have been for that, then In Dreams would have been an Elvis Presley song and not Roy Orbison.
What? See, that's
I know. Wow. Can you imagine that, Elvis doing In Dreams?
they probably have it on some lost archive that they're waiting to release for like 20 years from now.
Probably.
Oh, you just know the Presley estate have got something there, don't you? Yes. They're like the Hendrix estate with milk in it for all it's got.
What I want to listen to is an updated version of now I can remember it. It's old Beatles song that they first recorded, and I try to look for this song, but it just sounds like total junk because, like, I guess the recording equipment that they had back then. But hold on, let me. You guys say something. I have to remember it. I'm refusing to look it up on my phone right now.
I find it interesting how people like David Lynch and Christopher Nolan have favorite actors that they always seem to call on for various roles and shows. Like David Lynch, Kyle MacLachlan with Dune. That's kind of the first place I remember those two connecting. But then
I'll leave you to talk, you two, because my bell's just gone.
Oh, it's the post. Amazon.
Oh, Louise is going to take over and ask you a question from the chat.
The Quibell.
Hold on. There you go. Headphones.
It is the
Have the phone near to you so that it can pick you up on the microphone. It needs to pick you up on the mic.
There.
On the phone.
And now
There
it's
you go. Hold it.
question
Hello?
from Hat.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
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 It's very quiet.
Yes, it is. Oh, you know what I've done? I've unplugged that by accident. Hold on. And there we go.
Hello?
There. Oh, we heard that.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, sorry.
Hello?
Slight technical hitch there. What is your most treasured possession?
Whoa. Possession would mean something that I own.
Hmm.
That's different than something I can't live without. So it's
Yeah.
so unlike Martin, I can't say underwear. Oh gosh. Gil, you have any thoughts on that? That's deep for even me. And I'm the shower.
That's pretty deep.
Ooh.
I have to dig, deep down inside. I'm getting sentimental here, guys.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Quite a large scope for an answer to that one.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different things that it could be. It's treasured possession. If it died in a fire, would I ever could I live without it? That's what I've.
Yeah, what would you, if you had a fire, what's the first thing you'd grab?
Yeah, it would have to be my Hudson Dalton acoustic guitar that my wife bought me for my 40th birthday.
That's obviously quite a sentimental thing as well then.
Yeah, 2000. I got it in 2014. It was built in 2004. I was going to have Chris Martin, CF Martin Company, build me a custom guitar after they graciously hosted me for 3 days and, fed me and took care of me and put me up in a hotel and gave me like $500 worth of clothes for me and the family.
Nice.
And I was going to go, I was all set to get a custom guitar built by them. And I kept trying to call who I thought I was supposed to talk to, and they kept putting me off. And one day I walk into a store, and here sits this guitar that's almost identical to everything that I wanted to have built. And I turned to my buddy Mark, who is an amazing guitar luthier and repairman. And I say, Mark, what can you tell me about this Hudson Dalton acoustic that's in the room there for $2,000? And he's like, Dave, that is the guitar that you buy when a Martin isn't good enough for you.
Right.
And so I put it on layaway. I talked to people at Hudson Dalton and found out that guitar, if they were to build me one from scratch, would have been about $3,700. And I said, I'm sold.
Okay.
That was after I strummed it a couple of times, and I'm like, wow, this is like the most beautiful acoustic I've ever heard. The only thing that comes even close to it right now is a John Mayer signature Martin, which currently runs in the U.S. around $3,800. So,
Right.
Whoa.
Very fortunate to have that in my possession.
Okay, what about you, Gil?
Let's see. Well, it's not a cool thing like Dave's guitar, but I'd probably have to say my parents' wedding picture.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
it's one of their original, pictures from back then, and yeah, I mean,
As in black and white.
yeah, exactly. So
I like black and white photos.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like it's not black and white. It's like a sepia kind of color.
Oh,
like
see,
a
yes,
brown.
yes.
Yeah, sepia.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think with that, I have no clue how I got a hold of it, but I got a hold of it, and yeah, like I don't have much things from from them, but having that picture just yeah.
There's something about
have
old
it hanging.
photos.
Yeah, exactly. I have it hanging. I have music stuff and different posters, and they're the only people that are allowed to go on my wall.
Right. Okay.
Very nice.
I guess I should pass you back to Martin then.
Dun, 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 dun.
Hey.
Thank you, guys. That was fun.
Thank you.
In stereo.
We are here, living life loud with the presenters of the Decibolic Podcast and the Mindbuzz, Dave Belknap and Gilbert Angriano.
I got the song now. I remember it.
Sweet.
There you go. You've got the song. Awesome.
I looked it up. I
Hey,
had to.
nothing wrong with that.
In spite of all the danger.
In spite of all the danger was.
Yes.
Yes.
You got me there.
Yes. Yeah, it was a really
In spite
early
of all
Corey
the
man.
danger.
Yes. Oh my
That one,
gosh.
Yep.
I'm telling you. I got into that song when I watched that movie. That movie about John Lennon that they did. That was one of the movies that was one of the songs that the actor that played John Lennon, he sang that song, his own version that was on the soundtrack. And
Was that
Is that Stephen Dorff?
is it? Let me see.
Is that Stephen Dorff in that film?
Is it?
You are now listening to Gill looking online.
Well, I was curious. Is that from the Beatles' days as the Quarrymen?
Yeah, it was them as a Quarrymen before they changed their name.
Yeah, but it's only the three of them though doing that. It's John, Paul, and George on the recording that's there because it's a demo on it. It's a demo on an old single track reel recorder. Back in those days when you only had one track to record to on a home recorder.
Yeah, but if they would have just redid that one,
Right? Yeah. A lot of bands didn't do that back then, did they? They didn't take something from a previous album and re-record it. It's kind of like discovering that David Coverdale, one of their biggest songs off of the Epitomis, or what off their big hit album Whitesnake.
Yep.
Done a second version of Here I Go Again. Modified updated a little bit.
Yeah. And then the single was a third version.
Yeah. I mean, and it was tastefully done because here he had. Do you know what the original lyrics were in that song?
Yeah, like a hobo. Yeah,
like a hobo.
Yeah,
yeah. Like I'm like, wow, that really doesn't fit. It sounds so funny to hear him say it. Like a hobo.
I really like the original version of it musically.
Yes,
because it's got that almost blues rock sort of vibe to it, but I like it lyrically later because I think the word drifter works better than hobo.
I agree. I see that's a perfect example of being able to take something in which they didn't do. I mean, you didn't see Hendrix go back and redo Purple Haze. You never saw the Beatles. I guess they're too busy having other people cover their songs. Maybe that's
Well, they did. Well, one after 909 on Let It Be. That's actually a re-record from a song that was a re-record because that was a song they recorded for Please Please Me, the first album that was left off it.
Yeah. That one is actually in the anthology, their first recording of 909. That's in the anthology.
It is. Yeah. Yep. And
did we?
Let's see if I can blow. Let's see if I can blow Gil's mind now. You know the song "In Spite of All the Danger." Yeah.
Uh-huh.
How about if they had recorded it with the harmonies the way that they did Paperback Writer, where they were trying out the almost Beach Boysy style. So that afterwards, if that was done Beach Boy style, that would be really cool, wouldn't it? If they'd have done it that time like that, that would have worked really well.
That would have been really cool.
In fact, imagine the Beach Boys doing it.
Ooh. Really?
Yeah. Wouldn't that be good if they had?
Oh yeah,
This is a what if, Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Did you know
I thought
that
you
your song there, In Spite of All the Danger, that was inspired by an Elvis Presley song? It was Paul McCartney trying to be Elvis.
Right,
Oh,
and please me was John Lennon trying to be Roy Orbison.
Yes.
Yes.
It's Roy again. Oh, Roy. We've seen you.
Yeah, Roy again. Back to Roy. It's a bit like the Beach Boys stole Sweet Little 16, didn't they? The music to that for a Beach Boys song. Which one was that? Go on, Dave. Which one is it?
Which
It's got
way?
the music to Sweet Little 16 and it's a Beach Boys song.
that was Chuck Berry's song.
Yeah. So they took the music. They took the melody from Sweet Little 16 by Chuck Berry and
Yeah.
they used it for one of their own, didn't they? I think it's Surfing USA.
Surfing USA. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Sweet Little 16, basically.
Not make Chuck happy at all.
No.
That was back before they got into all this credit writing and stuff.
Right. Ooh. Yes.
Sweet Little 16 lyrics. That's all.
Well, it's all there, isn't it? The lyrics. It tells you everything you need to know about Chuck before everybody knew about Chuck.
Unlike his song, My Ding-a-Ling.
Yeah, there's no... Yeah, that doesn't mean anything naughty at all, does it, My Ding-a-Ling?
That should only be listened to and followed by My, What a Lovely Bunch of Coconuts. I was going to say, the one who was left out of that recording, and a song that I found very humorous on a dull and dreary day on the road a few years back, Ringo Starr, the No 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 song.
Yes.
I haven't heard that one.
Yeah. No.
No?
You've done very well there, Gil.
The No song.
It is campy at its best. It
is.
I could say that may have. I don't know when it was recorded though.
75, I think that one's from.
Excellent. Then I can say what I was thinking, and that's what I
says the man full of Beatle knowledge. Yeah,
is that it was 1974 on Good Night Vienna.
Oh, yeah. Was it on 74? Good Night Vienna. Okay, I thought it was on the following album.
Like the Beatles, man. They stumped the Beatles, man. You heard it here, folks, on Pods Like Us. No, anyhow, I can.
Trio of Pods, honestly, the Mindbuzz, Decibolic, Live Life Loud.
Honestly, now say that probably very well could have inspired Weird Al Yankovic.
Definitely.
So, Gil, I'll just get a small part of it. No. I don't smoke it no more. I'm tired of waking up on the floor. No, thank you, please. It only makes me sneeze, and then it makes it hard to find the door. That's everything you need to know about the No song.
Lyrics to live by.
I love it.
Gil's going to look it up now and add it to his playlist.
Yeah, that's going on there for sure.
Dear me. But there are some good songs in Ringo's back catalogue, like Photograph.
Oh, he had a lot of good stuff. He's just, he wasn't afraid to be Ringo. That's the big thing. It wasn't like, oh, I have to be a proper Beatle.
Yeah.
Never got to that. He was never that way. He was the odd man out, and he wasn't afraid to be who he was.
He was just happy to be there.
Yeah,
I'm happy to play some rock and roll. I think that's what it was.
I think Ringo is overlooked and underrated in some ways. He was a really good drummer in the Beatles. He was exactly what they needed. Yeah,
he brought like a huge dynamic to the band, especially with his jazz playing, his cha-chas, I think just placement, and he knew what to give to make a Beatles song.
Agreed.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
He didn't add anything fancy. He didn't, you know what I mean? Like, even though he was a great drummer, he didn't need all that jazz. You know what I mean?
He wasn't your atypical smash and grab drummer.
Yeah.
Well, me and Gill would know because we both got the anthology sets, so we can see the difference between when they got Ringo and what Pete Best was like before. And Pete Best was a bit ordinary, just basic with his drumming. You know, he got by, but the difference between him and Ringo's playing is miles apart. Really, completely different.
His grooves are just immaculate. Listening to A Hard Day's Night, I think that's got to be some of the best drumming that he did in the early albums coming out of the Beatles.
Yeah, I think A Hard Day's Night is a really good transition album actually for them.
Yeah.
Because it was still looking at what they'd done before, but it was also signalling where they were going to go after that with things like Beatles for Sale and then Rubber Soul. And then when you get to Revolver, that's another transition then from that period. Yeah. And then after that, you've got Sgt. Pepper. So I think A Hard Day's Night is a transitional album that spells that change from one to the other, I think.
Definitely. And then even just the film, that when they broke into that film market, man, 64, just
I know,
year in music. Man, I wish I was around.
Yeah, just think, that within a year, that's where they are. In a little over a year from bringing out the first single or whatever, they've made that film. That's wow.
This epic pause brought to you by Deep Beatles Thoughts. There we go. My gosh, some days.
And Dave, you have to record like a guitar bit to get you. How did you phrase it to almost close enough not to get you in trouble? Is that how you phrased it?
Yeah.
Yes, that is
it.
Almost close enough, but not close enough to get me in trouble.
Yes.
We get the gist, kind of, the Vanilla Ice thing. Theirs goes dun, 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 dun. Mine goes dun, 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 dun. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Rules to live by.
Right.
Close, but not that close that you can get done for it.
Exactly. Kind of like winning a year's worth of calendars.
Yes. Yep.
Epic prize ever would be winning a year's worth of calendars.
Right. Year's worth of calendars. What have you got coming up, Dave? Have you got any shows lined up, to record or anything? Or what's coming out in the future from Live Life Loud, the Decibolic Podcast?
Up next on Live Loud, the Decibolic Podcast, will be featuring vocalist and studio painting artist Justin Babcock. From his early days in Traverse City and Cadillac, Michigan, to his brush with fame and a guy named Mark Slaughter in Nashville, Tennessee, we get to experience Justin's journey from Michigan and back again. All in the names of pursuing his dreams to live life loud. Also, I get to this is one that people have actually been asking me for when I would do this. So with that, I will begin my travels on Travel Time into the greater Toronto area of Ontario, Canada. So we'll start the journey through there, what I experienced in my times in Toronto. Some places outside of Toronto, well, mostly good places outside of Toronto to stay because I would never want to stay downtown. It's just my thing. Some of the great shops around the area. Eventually make it over to Richmond Hills. And I have to give a plug to one of the best breakfast diners I've ever been to in my life, and I hope to get my wife over there someday. Little town called London, Ontario, Canada. The Spare Parts Diner. It's about 2 hours from Detroit and about 2 hours from Toronto. Spare Parts Diner. They aren't afraid to surprise you with something great. The first time I went there, I asked them for pancakes with my breakfast, and the owner/waitress came back and said, "We decided instead of giving you pancakes that we're just going to make you one pancake." So I had a pancake the size of an extra large pizza to go with my breakfast. I did not eat the whole thing. Spoiler warning.
Gil, what have you got coming up on the Mindbuzz?
Mindbuzz, what is that?
Okay, should I have said it like, or should I have said it like the Mindbuzz?
Mindbuzz.
What do I got? I got Monday coming up. Monday headlines. So we're just gonna go through the week. Our 5.
For anybody listening to this show, this will be the previous Monday that he's talking about.
Yeah.
Ooh, back in time. With Marty McFly in the dock.
Here we go.
Marty, quick!
It's your children, Marty. It's your children.
It's your children, Marty. Sorry, Gil, go ahead.
Yeah, and then I just recorded another 3-hour, 4-hour podcast with a buddy of mine. We're just talking some Russian nonsense about everything going down in Russia. So that was another fun one. It's going to come out in like 2 weeks. I did that one yesterday.
Cool.
Popped up in coffee, and that was a good one.
Is that another one of those 3-hour slog recordings?
It's the one where you you light one up and you just hang out in the dark and listen to us talk about aliens and Russian spy psychedelic books. It's one of those nights.
Cool. The perfect podcast to listen to with Dark Side of the Moon in the background.
And Billy Squire.
Yes.
Dark Side of the Moon. It's such an awesome album.
It is.
What about you, Marv? What do you got?
What have I got? What have I got? So far this season, two episodes have come out. There was one with George Slade about his indie music showcase, as he calls it, where he chats to a different musician each time about their music, and they play songs from their careers. That was on for episode 1. Episode 2 that came out today as we're talking now, that was with Joe Wisby, who talked about his addiction of buying Beatles books. He owns over 400 books about the Beatles.
Wow!
And he does a podcast where he talks to the people who wrote those books about them.
Oh, nice.
I particularly liked one that he did where he talked to the writer of the Ravi Shankar biography, Indian Sun, because I'm a huge fan of Ravi Shankar. You know me, I'm always ahead. I've got what is it? Xander and Stone. They do a paranormal and fringe science podcast, which is named after themselves, Xander and Stone podcast. And then this will be coming out that Thursday, so that's next Thursday to us. You'll have us three talking, if I can get it edited to sound like we know what we're doing. And And then just to let people know, the following Monday after that, I had a fantastic chat with the filmmaker Martine Jean about her film podcast, Film Bug, where each episode she talks to a different filmmaker about a specific film where it was fraught with problems and what they learnt from the problems that they made or they gained from making those films. There you go.
You're on it, man.
I've got 3 other shows also in the can.
I'm usually right now I'm trying to get ahead, but it's these days are so short. There's so much you can do in one day.
I know. Yes. As I said to somebody on a Star Trek, someone from a Star Trek podcast, if only we had 26-hour days like they do in the Star Trek universe.
Right. Dave, how far are you out as far as published, getting things published on your hosting service?
I am 1 week ahead right now.
You're 1 week ahead.
I was almost 2 weeks ahead, but we had a snow day here, and my youngest daughter had a day away from, or half day off of school that same week. And with having an autistic son at home who has needs, that takes my Wednesdays out from doing anything with recording and editing typically.
Got it.
So last week I was down about 2 days because I got about half a day in on the snow day thanks to my wife being home. But still, so that set my schedule back a little bit further. And whenever I get into edits for a new episode or a new conversation, I do a lot of editing. So, like most recently with the one I'm working on now, it was originally about 22 minutes of material, and I ended up with 12.
Wow. But Martine Jean, the Film Bug podcast, I was talking to her, and she was saying how her shows, which are at the most 30 minutes long, they initially start with 2 hours worth of interview material that she's got.
That doesn't surprise me.
No.
I had one batch that I've gone through, and there was an episode that almost felt, when I got done with it, that felt like it was a repeat of the previous episode just because of what we went over. And I'm like, I don't know if anyone's really going to listen to that. But amazingly enough, the second of the two, which was almost a repeat, actually has had more listens than the first one. So I'm glad I did it. But yeah, it was one of those gambles at first. We're like, should I?
Well, you've got 2 Decibolic addicts right here talking with you, because me and Gill are always listening to your show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. That is huge for any podcaster. Even if you want to listen to me in double time and don't really understand everything I'm saying, that's fine with me. Just do me a favor and listen to an episode once, twice if you're taking a shower. That's totally cool with me.
And you can have a thought while you're in the shower.
You never know what you might get by osmosis.
So I think
I just let you hang it, man. I'm so sorry. I'm like, there's like 5 ideas at once, and I just left Marv hanging. Leaving Marv hanging with Live Life Loud, the Decibolic Podcast.
It's like you blew my mind with 5 different things there. I'm like, oh God, which one do I go for? Brain shutdown, brain freeze. You could just see me like I don't know, Homer Simpson with my hands on either side of my head going, too much.
The Scream.
Yes, The Scream. Yes, by is it Mensch? Monch? Is it? Yeah. trio of pods were to come to for your cultural needs.
That's right, folks. You never know. Some days I think I do better.
Anyway, have you recorded this for yourself again, Dave?
Oh, yeah, you betcha. I tacked it on to the end of my previous so I could have it all in one semi-seamless file. And it
Well
now
done, that man.
3 hours, 17 minutes, and 38 seconds. Ding!
On its way to you in about 10 minutes, Gill.
All right.
All right. You've got over 3 hours to edit into a Mindbuzz show.
Let's see, you've got the first half. So I will get the second half to you in MP3 again, or the second halves. I thought it wasn't recording at first. It just turned out that I had the screen so crunched to look at the 2 hours that I couldn't see my needle moving. That was telling me I actually made a recording. Wow.
And only now during the recording of this do I have a cable to plug my microphone into my interface so that I could actually record it with a better quality microphone. Go figure.
Thanks, Jungle Book.
That always helps.
Yes. Thank you, Panama.
I'm still waiting on them to refund me for one of the things I sent back like over a month ago. Like, I really hope they do that soon. I'd like to have the money to spend again.
Well, normally they do it relatively quickly. Perhaps it's a damn you, Corona.
Must be, because, I sent it back on the 14th of January and it shows on tracking that it got there on the 18th of January. And I'm like, okay. So maybe I just have to figure out who I can call.
So did you pay for it out of your normal bank account or off your credit card? Because, they would have put it back on whichever you paid it with, wouldn't they? I would have thought. They
would have, and it says right here, return was started on December 24th. The item was on its way back January 14th. And they have not, it hasn't gotten down to the tick box that says refund sent once we get the item.
Yeah. This is going to be must listen for anybody that's interested in podcasting this.
Will Dave ever get his money back?
Find out next time on the next episode of Soap.
All right.
I think we've got some really good stuff there. Oh, dear me.
There's everything else. Yes, it happens.
And thanks to Gill from last week, I have 3 hours of chat between me and Dave to make an episode from as well.
You're welcome.
All the Dave you can.
Yes.
All the Dave Unleashed.
I might have to split it into two and release it as 2 episodes in one day.
2 episodes, 1 Dave. All on pods like us.
Excellent. I'm going to what's it all these, and I might put them all together at the end of the episode so that it's just all these call outs from Dave just at the end.
Yeah.
And all these tags.
Right.
Trio pods and sometimes Gill from the Mindbuzz.
There we go.
There we go. Gill's gone into it.
If I can do it, anybody can do it. Come on.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not brain surgery, it's murder, so anybody can do it.
Marv, have you got a chance to hear any of Adam Curry stuff?
No, I haven't. No, I don't think so. No.
I think I've been pushing Adam Curry like on every podcaster.
Right.
Honestly.
Is that the Adam that did that fantastic
No.
graphic?
No.
Right. Which Adam is that then? Because that is a great graphic.
Oh yeah, that's actually the Adam that I have on the Mindbuzz. He's a recurring recurring.
Oh, that's
guest.
that Adam. Yep.
Yes,
I've heard him a lot.
Yeah. No, Adam Curry, the Podfather.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know the full story, but originally he was the first man that came up with the idea of podcasting, not necessarily the name podcasting, but yeah, he was reached by Steve Jobs to get podcasting on Apple.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
they call him the Podfather, which he has some great stuff, and usually his stuff goes in the awesome listen. I mean, I encourage any podcaster to look up Adam Curry. Definitely. He was on I caught him on Buzzsprout. He was on he was on their podcasting thing, talking about podcasting. And he's been on Joe Rogan. Great stuff.
Wow. I need to get fishing now for that guy. I need to throw that hook out and try and get him.
The history of podcasting is it's amazing. It's for any computer nerd out there.
Well, the history of anything on I was watching a program and they're on about the fact that there was a Star Trek film or something, in general, Star Trek film and television, where they listen to music through the computer, don't they? Because they go, oh, computer play, blah, blah, blah. And somebody was saying that the people who invented the MP3 invented it because they were inspired by them listening to music through a computer on Star Trek.
Really?
Yeah. But you look at the original series of Star Trek, and it's almost like the communicators that they're using. They're like the old Motorola flip phones, aren't they?
Yeah, those things that will last forever.
Yeah, which is nothing like the phones that you buy nowadays, which won't last forever.
Motorola phones.
Yeah.
And yes.
And what was that?
Nokia.
Oh yeah. The weapon.
Yes. My first phone was a Nokia. It was the one based on the Matrix phone. That was my first mobile phone. And I was incredibly disappointed when I got it and found out that you actually had to slide the thing down by hand, and you didn't have a button to do it with like they did on the film.
That's fair.
And I just thought, why couldn't you just add a button on the side to make it flip down like it does on the film?
Money.
Yes, money. Yes.
Cost. How much extra? We save 5 cents per phone by not doing this.
And dear. For anybody listening, there is a Matrix 4 on its way that's filmed. Anyway, the neighbours seem to be doing some work next door, so I better finish this off so that they don't keep making a noise on this recording. Eh?
I love a good cameo.
I know. Oh, you want to finish with one of those? Oh, Louise is saying, let's finish with another out of the hat. If you had a time machine, what year or era would you go back to, Gill?
It has to be between 1968 or 1964. So I'm going to go ahead with 1968. 67. Summer
67.
of Love.
Summer of
Love.
Yes.
Catch me over there at Haight and Ashbury. I'll be hanging out there with all the cool cats, and That's where I'll be, hanging out.
And
eating funny stuff.
Cool. And Dave Belknap from Live Life Loud, the Decibolic Podcast. What's your answer?
1978, invest in a small company called Microsoft.
Yes. There is an interesting story there, isn't there, where Alan Michael Sugar, who owns Amstrad, the people behind, how can I not remember the name? The Microsoft chap.
Bill Gates?
Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Bill Gates apparently approached Sir Alan Michael Sugar for some funding to help with starting Microsoft up, and the famous saying that Alan Michael Sugar now regrets and has regretted for decades is, there is no money in software, all the money is in computers.
Right?
Right.
The things that we say.
I know. I would possibly go back to... I'd like to have seen the Beatles at Shea Stadium in person, actually. That famous concert there, one of their last ones, just to see what they were like live. There you go. But then I want to come back and have just stayed there and gone through the rest of the 60s.
Right? Yeah. Meet Jimi Hendrix.
Yep. Anyway, Gil, let people know where they can find you and how they can listen to the Mindbuzz.
The Mindbuzz, today's mind culture and social podcast. You can find the Mindbuzz at the mindbuzzpodcast.buzzsprout.com, and you can @ me on Instagram at the Mindbuzz Podcast.
Short,
How was that one?
Sweet, and to the point.
Yeah.
Yes. And Dave, where can they find yourself and get hold of Live Life Loud, the Decibolic Podcast?
For more information and the best way to locate Live Life Loud, the Decibolic Podcast, please go to decibolic.com. You can find all links to social media and to streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple iTunes, and now iHeartRadio. Live Life Loud is a production of Decibolic LLC. Yeah, it's a real thing now. And you can also find me on Instagram at Live Life Loud Podcast. For anybody who wants to give me more information or tell me what you think, you can please feel free to email me at info@decibolic.com.
Thank you very much. And Pods Like Us is what you're listening to it. So you can find it on all streaming platforms. There are so many of them. I will probably be here for the rest of the year naming every platform that's available. There's a webpage at themarvzone.org/Pods Like Us. And we also have pages on Facebook and on Instagram. You can find us on the Instagram at Pods Like Us. Thank you very much, guys. And thank you to everybody for listening, and hope you listen again to another episode of Pods Like Us.
Oh my gosh. Why is it so much easier to talk to everybody else than it is for me to do this on my own? That's what I got to figure out. I've got to make I found a voice program I'm thinking about buying just so that I can set it up with banter. And that way it can talk to me while I'm recording my podcast. Maybe it's my room. Where do you guys podcast at? Where do you set up at? Gail, where do you set up at?
I'm set up in my living room. At first I had it in my bedroom, and then I kind of had some arrangement stuff. So right now I'm in my room. No, not my room. I'm in my living room on my desk. Yeah. Originally I was gonna move my desk around to get some I had some sound issue because I'm like right here up against the window. So if somebody's outside, they can. I just have horrible sound issues in this corner. But I moved over to the other side of the living room, and I was just getting this bad feedback from my my Wi-Fi and router, which was it was strange. Like for somehow my mic would pick up maybe like some sort of like feedback or something from my router. But anyways, I'm to answer your small question with my big answer. But in the living room.
I too am in the living room, sat at the settee. Or the sofa. Sat on the sofa talking to two friends.
Nice.
There you go.
And me and Gill have done a show once before where I was sat in a work van talking to him.
That was a good one.
It was.
That was like a Mindbuzz on the go kind of thing.
It was, yes. And somebody ringing me up to check on me also made its way into the show.
What helps out with that, if you have like a green screen, and it works perfect, even if you're gonna go out and get a piece of green.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
It makes it just a little bit cleaner, but
yeah, I thought about getting an actual, and they didn't have the right color green.
Oh, okay, I see.
For this curtain, so I did this. But eventually I'll do a green screen. I'd like to do something where I have it hanging and I can pull it down.
Yeah.
Also with this curtain, if for any reason should the cat ever decide to attack it, I'm not feeling so bad about it.
Yeah, I had that. I had some black vinyl that I used to drape on from the top of my ceiling down. So now I have like all this opening, but for recordings, I had it draped down, but now I don't. I didn't really see a point. I was just going up and down, stapling, unstapling stuff.
Yeah.
I have the foam. I'm actually gonna put some foam up today.
Nice.
Just in the just around in the area. What the bad thing is the window that's right in front of me.
I see it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You see it out of my glasses?
Yep.
Yeah. What I originally did, which I'm probably have to do it again, but I kind of like the sunlight coming in, during the day. I had all that covered with like 2 to 3 big heavy blankets that I nailed to the wall to keep just the outside sound coming in. But now, but that was with the condenser mic. Now that I have this mic, it doesn't pick up much of that ambience now.
So the Shure microphone that you've both got, then that's set up like the classic Shure vocal microphones, then, that just picks up the what's there in front. It doesn't get the external anything from outside. It's a close-up mic.
Yeah.
Technically. Yep.
It's a dynamic mic just in a body with a shell and a bunch of stuff inside, so you can record direct. I mean, the cool thing about it is that with an adapter, as I can plug it into my phone. Oh, that's kind of cool. I never realized it did that. But I can plug it into my phone. Look at that. You can see that it's looking to see if something's on there. That's kind of neat. But anyhow.
I'm there.
Right? Yeah. Shadow and it went away, but I was noticing this little beep. I never noticed that before until I held it up. One of those strobe things you don't see right off. But anyhow, besides that, you can plug this microphone directly into an iOS phone, an Apple phone. And
what piece do I need for that?
They sell a particular cable, and I don't know if it works any better, but I just got a USB to Lightning adapter. They call it a camera kit.
Camera kit?
Yeah, a camera kit. And just look up camera kit. You can get them for like $10. But the camera kit just allows you to hook up the MV7 right to your phone, and then you can record anything you're doing vocally right to your phone rather than having to be at a computer or have the interface with you.
Yeah.
And it's all powered.
So rather than the cable that you've got there,
right.
So rather than the cable that you've got, I'm pointing to it, that cable, you would just unplug that where that is now and plug a cable in that goes into the iOS iPhone.
Yep. Right here. Right there.
Oh, there. That's it. Yep.
Yep. So it's a mini, but not a micro. It's mini USB. And then the other side is standard USB. They also give you one that's USB-C in case you have a newer computer. But you just get an adapter that changes USB to Lightning, and it makes it work with any iOS device.
Yep. My new laptop is C.
Yeah, so your new laptop, you'll be able to go right from that with the cable they provide right into your laptop. That's like a 10-foot or 12-foot cable that comes with it, so plenty of space to do that.
Yeah, the cool thing about they give you two cables, for whatever you got, which was that was pretty cool.
Yeah, standard USB or USB-C.
Yeah.
You know, and of course everybody else is going the one more and saying, well, why didn't you just include the Lightning one?
Come on.
Because they do sell it separately on their site, but whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why people call back on using Shure for professional, recording and that, because they are really good. Like the 57 and the 58 are both classic microphones. They know what they're doing. They know how to do really good microphones. They do.
Plugged in, this microphone is very similar to an SM57 Beta.
Okay.
I have one of those from my tour days, but it's nice to be able to hang it this way and have to deal with all the shock mount stuff and how am I going to get it so it doesn't get a lot of noise. Yeah. So that's the kind of OCD stuff that I do.
It's the kind of stuff that everybody wants to listen to.
Right?
Yeah.
That's why we're after the fact right now, at least. Hopefully, maybe. I don't know.
We shall see. Hey, podcasters need to hear these things, don't they?
Yeah, you sprinkle it off and do a second episode just for podcasters. Or podcast pods like us for podcasts of interest. I don't know.
Oh no, you're almost there then, Dave. You let us down. You're the perfect voiceover man as well there.
Like
normally.
Pods like us for pods like you.
Pods like us for pods like you. How about that? Pods Like Us presents for pods like you.
There we go.
Get ready to podcast!
In every ad, that's going to be in every episode now. There you go. Right. Thank you very much, guys. I'll catch you both later, and I'll get ready for work in about, how am I going? About an hour and a half. Plenty of time.
You're good.
Yeah, I'm going to get back to finishing up some stuff to refine the next episode that hits, and after that, it'll be about time for my son to be home.
You'll be having your lunch soon then, Dave?
I will. I'll wait for
have breakfast
home, who helps me out with Ben to get her lunch, because she hits that at noon like clockwork. So I let her take over the kitchen, and then I wait until she clears out, so that way there's no conflicts for space. Space.
The final frontier.
Yes.
This is the final frontier of podcasting.
Yep.
You are correct, sir. All right. Thanks, guys. I'm going to let you go.
Take care.
All right.
See you guys.
See ya.
Thanks a lot. Bye. I'm going to have to do like a shimmering sound from Star Trek or something, like a transporter to throw in there.
Oh, man, we're making so
Yes.
much work for you.
I've got to find a song now because Dave said chuck that song in there, and now I've got to put a transporter effect in to link the two different conversations.
Xylophone action going on in there.
Good.
Or at least a little flange effect or, a harp.
Yeah.
Kind of like what I use for shower thoughts.
Shower thoughts is
Ooh.
great. Like that whole thing is just awesome, Dave. It's awesome. I enjoy
Dave,
it.
Thank you.
I know what to do now, Dave. I'm getting out the zither.
I enjoy it.
I'm getting the zither out for that transition.
This is great.
Yeah.
Do it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys.
It was great being able
You
to
take
talk
care.
with you. Let me know what
on,
works,
Dave.
and you as well. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks. Appreciate it. I look forward to picking this back up.
It's our glorious leader, Gill.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me fine, Marv?
I can. And what a nice new microphone you've got.
Thank you.
That's yes. Dear me. Here I am on my phone, and you two have got these fancy schmancy microphones, eh?
With all due time.
Yes, I plan on getting one of those myself at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great investment. Definitely.
So, have you got the intravenous drip full of coffee attached to you?
Yeah, I got caffeine IV in one, and then I got of course you got to have one coming out, so I got a catheter going out to the front yard.
As you do.
That's how you do it.
What's Dave on about? Dave sending me a message somewhere. What's that about, Dave? Is Dave not being able to join in? Oh yeah, is he? Isn't it? And Dave's here as well. We've got the three amigos.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
We can. If we had video, we could do the three amigos dance.
Right.
Yeah.
Hear me.
So Gil said that he's got an IV in one arm with coffee, and he's got one coming out to his front yard to get rid of the waste.
Dang.
I'm like a filtering system.
That's it. Yes.
Coffee. Good morning, Dave.
Morning.
Marv,
Good afternoon.
good afternoon. Good afternoon, good evening, good night. That'd be a nice podcast name too.
Yes, it would. There we go. There's a future podcast for the three of us.
Wait, I think I hear my alarm.
You're
Let me go turn that off.
That's alarming.
Wah, wah, wah. Do I need another sound file for that?